All right, let's talk about a leadership skill that is so incredibly powerful, but for some reason, we almost always overlook it. It's not about giving these amazing speeches or, always having the right answer. Nope, it's about something much, much quieter.
Think about it. When you picture a really powerful leader, what do you see? Probably someone with a ton of charisma, a grand vision, somebody who's super decisive, right? But what if their greatest strength is actually found in what they don't say?
Yep, silence. That's it. The ability to just be quiet, to create space for other people to talk, and to genuinely listen, it is a total game changer. And it's the bedrock of this really simple but honestly transformative leadership principle.
But let's be real, embracing silence is hard. So why is it such a struggle for so many leaders to just listen? Well, a lot of it comes down to a basic misunderstanding of what leadership is even supposed to look like.
There's this constant pressure, right? Leaders feel like they have to be the one with the vision, the plan, all the answers. But this need to always be talking, to kind of lecture your team, can have a really devastating side effect. Just take the story of a CEO named Maya. She noticed her company was losing its best people, and after a while, she had this tough realization that her own habit of dominating every conversation might be what was driving them out the door.
So, how do you fix a problem like that? Turns out, the answer is a beautifully simple framework that just flips that whole traditional leadership dynamic on its head. It's called the 70-30 rule, and the idea is really straightforward. In any conversation, you should aim to listen for 70% of the time and only speak for 30%. Now, this isn't about being passive. It's about making a conscious choice to shift the focus from you to your team.
I mean, just look at this. The principle is crystal clear. The vast majority of your time and your energy should go into absorbing information, understanding different perspectives, and really hearing what's going on. That way, when you do speak, that 30% becomes so much more focused and so much more impactful because it's actually informed by deep listening. Okay, but does this kind of thing actually work in the real world? Let's go back to Maya, the CEO who decided to put this exact rule to the test. So Maya started practicing what some people call silent leadership. She would kick off her meetings with these really open-ended questions, and then she just stopped talking. I mean, you can imagine how uncomfortable that must have been for her at first. But something pretty amazing started to happen. Employees began sharing new ideas, raising concerns they had never, ever voiced before. That silence, it created the space they needed all along. And this quote just reframes everything perfectly. Listening is not some soft skill. It is a core strategic skill. As the experts at McKinsey put it, listening is the front end of decision-making. Think about it. You can't possibly make good decisions if you have bad or incomplete information. And where does the best information come from? From your team.
And the data? The data on this is just wild. One survey found that companies that actually solicit and act on feedback from their employees are an incredible 11 times more likely to have high retention rates. 11 times!
And it doesn't stop there. Another study showed that companies with what they call a mature listening culture, where it's just part of their DNA, are 7 times more likely to hang on to their top talent. These numbers are absolutely massive.
So what happened with Maya? Well, by putting the 70-30 rule into practice, her company's retention rate, it roughly doubled. That's a direct, tangible impact of making people feel like they are genuinely being heard.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, but how do I actually get better at it? Well, like anything, it takes practice. And here is a super simple exercise you can try.
It's called the silent leadership exercise. Just find a partner. One of you talks for 3 minutes, while the other person, the listener, has to stay completely silent. Then the listener can only ask clarifying questions. No advice, no opinions, no, "Oh, that reminds me of a time." That's the hard part. Then you swap roles and do it again. You'll literally feel how this exercise trains your brain to stop just waiting for your turn to talk and to start truly, truly hearing. So when you put all this together, you start to see that this shift from speaking to listening isn't just some small tweak to your communication style. No, it's a fundamental change in how you actually lead.
So what's the bottom line? What's the big takeaway? By adopting this 70-30 rule, you build this deep, profound trust and understanding with your team. You feel better, more informed decisions because you finally have the full picture. And just like we saw with Maya, you can dramatically improve your ability to keep your absolute best people. So I'll just leave you with this final thought.
The most important insights, the most brilliant ideas, and the most critical warnings, they're often the things that are left unspoken. They're just sitting there, waiting in the silence for a leader who is finally willing to listen. So, the real question is, what are you not hearing?